What's this? Um, Sounds like someone's walking alone. Huh. This means more. It's a great slogan, right? It's great marketing. It's brilliant marketing. It makes you feel something. Well, until you stop winning. And right now, Liverpool certainly not winning. And they're not just losing. They're not just losing games. Right now, because it's not a sports podcast, but right now I think Liverpool is like suffering what I want to call from academic background and narrative collapse. Like the media, Meeks too, but more Jamie way more than Big Meeks. The media is circling, right? Like, oh, what's going wrong here? What's going wrong there? There's more. The fan base just fracture is probably nicely the communication coming out of LFFC is like, So today we're not just talking about like the expected goals, defensive lines, Flo Wirtz, who is one of our best German players out there. But we're talking about Roland Barthes, René Girard, or maybe even a little bit of Marshall McLuhan. Now, if you don't know this lineup, don't you worry, you will know them at the end of the podcast, because we talk about why is a football club in crisis is not just this standalone concept of it's just a football club. Yeah, it's not just a one-time thing. It's more like how do I compare this? Like a ritualistic, let's go with this ritualistic sacrifice waiting to happen. And you will see what I mean by that in just a moment. Because you will walk alone if you do not fix the communication. Here we go. Saudi Carbon, welcome to another episode here for the Funkit Pod, Mindful Media and Communication. That's something Liverpool FC really needs right now. As time of recording, yesterday they just lost to Eindhoven, of all places. Not saying PSV isn't a good club, but it's Liverpool, the reigning, defending Premier League champion, versus Eindhoven from the Netherlands. So what's going wrong right now? And again, not a football podcast, not looking into the playing styles and things like this, while my cat in the background is also complaining about how bad Liverpool is playing right now. There are a few communication concepts that we can apply as well and understand, hey, what's happening right now? Why is Liverpool crumbling after such an amazing season last year? And the first one, and I mentioned them in the lineup, the first academic theories we want to talk about is called Roland Barthes. Okay, so Barthes, he talked about something that he called, and you're familiar with it, mythologies. Okay, so he said, so myth, what we think about someone, something, a person, a celebrity, a superstar, a club, has a trajectory. So he calls it a trajectory of myth, right? So the myth moves towards something because we all think, wow, they're unbeatable. And then it becomes reality because we all think, oh my God, they're unbeatable. And Liverpool is a huge myth, not because they're unbeatable, which they have been last year, sure, but they're more than a club. I know that's the Barcelona slogan, but still, they're more than a club. It's a myth. It's, the cop, the 12th man, European royalty. So Liverpool is something special. Liverpool Football Club is something special. Even if you're not a Premier League fan, and I am not, as you can guess from the accent, it's still something special. So now Barthes, he says, let's look at myth. And if you look at myth, we can see how they naturalize history. Meaning, in this case, when Liverpool wins, the myth will say, that's destiny. It's a big club. Like Jamie Carragher's such a big club. Success had to come back to the Kop. We are something special. But when they lose, this whole concept backfires. Yeah, the slogan like "this means more" suddenly sounds pretty arrogant, if you're honest. So the myth, the concept of the myth, prevents an honest analysis because they believe they're special by some divine right, not by competence. And yeah, no hate. But when you hear right now Jamie Carragher talking about Liverpool on Golazzo, for example, yes, he's criticizing certain players, but it's still the same thing. It's like, this is Liverpool. We should be better. We should be winning those games. He said, when you play Eindhoven, you think you're going to win 3-1 or something like this. Yeah, this is like this, we're a myth, we're something special. But if things don't work, then that's arrogance. And that's where we're at right now with Liverpool. Yeah, so this is the concept of myth, the trajectory of myth. If things go, the myth is that's hard for a German way. All good. We're like, that's the myth, that's Liverpool. If it doesn't go your way, that's Liverpool. Well, why? Okay, so, and right now, the myth is crumbling. And this leads me to the second theory, which is one that I'm kind of happy to actually be able to talk on this podcast about, because it's not always easy to mention that in certain classes, simply because fitting it into it is not always that easy. It's René Girard. And René Girard, lots of French people today, I know, he talked about the concept of the scapegoat. We're all familiar with it, right? But he just tried to talk about it in like a media communication sense, so to speak. So he says there's something that we call the scapegoat mechanism, okay? So in the papers, he also calls it mimetic violence. And let me explain it, okay? So when a community like a fan base, like Liverpool fans, right, is in crisis and chaos, they're like going at each other because Wirtz needs to play more, Wirtz needs to play less, Slot has to go, oh, Liverpool never fires a championship coach in the season after, blah, blah, blah. They can blame themselves. They need to restore order by purging like a single victim. Usually it's the manager or the specific player, Nunes, for example, right? And the media usually fuels this. The media is like all in, like, oh yeah, he played, or how can you play a whatever 3-5-1-7, whatever they played, right? So they usually find someone to focus their anger on and be like, look at what he just did. Look at what just happened here. Like happens in Germany right now too. Bayern Munich lost last night to Arsenal 1-3. And today the media is full of like, oh, Neuer's getting old because he had like apparently 2 mistakes. But I mean, Liverpool's disaster is completely different level, right? So you're picking someone and then like, oh, he's shite, Wirtz is shite. Like, how can you pay 150 million euros for him and now he's not doing anything, and so on, right? Sacking the manager, though, rarely fixes structural rot. And unless it's Eric Ten Hag. Rarely fixes like this structural rot. But it satisfies the crowd. Okay, they're doing something. Because the crowd's there for blood. Things don't go well, we need blood. We want to see some change. Yeah, and it's basically ancient sociology, but playing out on CBS, on Sky Sports, wherever you're watching. We want blood. Don't clip that out. Last theory for today, because, I usually try to bring you 3 theories, and it's been, let me check, 10 minutes that I've been talking to you already, is a basic one. Maxwell McCombs, we talked about agenda setting theory. We talked about agenda setting many a times on this podcast, but it just fits so perfectly again. It fits every time something big happens, and in sports it fits probably as much as it would fit in politics. Yeah, so the concept here is you frame the crisis. If you can put a frame around the crisis, yeah, you can say, okay, hey audience, look at what's within the frame. The crisis is huge, but I put my frame on it and tell the audience, look, what's inside the frame. Everything outside, you ignore. Don't worry about it. Look at what's inside the frame. So you try to frame the crisis. Now, every stakeholder here tries to frame the crisis in a different way, right? So there are The club owners, they will, of course, not say it's their fault. They will say it's the manager's fault, right? Then the manager can say, like, yeah, but what? I can play for them. It's the player's fault, or it's whatever happens. Also, different stakeholders will put different frames on the same crisis. Now, the media does the same thing, right? The media will not tell you what to think exactly, but they will tell you what to think about. So they take the frame, they're like, hey, look at this. They're not saying, I don't know, Wirtz has to go or Slot has to go. Eventually they will. But it will be like, is Arne Slot still the right coach? Is Florian Wirtz really worth 150 million euros? So that's the frame they put on there. So that you keep thinking about it. They know they cannot tell you what to think because we want autonomy. We don't want people to tell us what to think. But by repeating what to think about, they can also set their agenda and put their frame in front of us, and we keep looking at that frame. Okay? Let me apply that a bit more. If Brentford loses 3 games, that's like bad form in the media narrative. If Liverpool loses 3 games, or 8, the media frames as like an end of an era, right? So then they will like hyper focus on body language of players, of the coach, on angry tweets from club supporters, and will put out like crisis talks and things like this. But the crisis is partially, at least, manufactured by the 24-hour news cycle that needs giants to fall. Because if you don't have giants that fall, it's all boring. What are you talking about, right? If nothing bad is happening. And we all know, and I'm going to put 3 euros into the piggy bank for saying that, bad news is good news. We know it, right? Because we like to click and share and talk about bad news. And that's just it. So now if I put my own spin on it a bit more, that was the academic corner of the EP. If I put my own spin on it a little bit, right? So I would say, if you look at the PR, I would call it toxic positivity, maybe even what clubs are doing. And yeah, all clubs will do that. Now, Liverpool is just the big club in the trenches right now. So they're just like, let's go again. Come on. Woo. Those generic tweets, generic posts, generic apologies, they suck. No hardcore fan wants to hear that. It is corporate speak kind of thing. And we understand why they don't say, sorry guys, we sucked. But as fans, we know you sucked. Admit it. Do something about it. If you don't want to hear like, thank y'all, and we go again next time, yeah, well, up yours. Eventually you go alone. Eventually you walk alone. Okay? So this corporate speak colliding with fan passion doesn't work. You don't need a LinkedIn announcement after you've lost 1-4 to Eindhoven, for example. Okay? That feels inauthentic. And fans want raw honesty. That's why we fell in love with the sport. That's why we follow clubs, right? We want Roy Keane. But what does the club give them? ChatGPT answers, right? So, okay. Let Roy Keane lose on ChatGPT once in a while. That's what we want. Also, the content. I mean, content needs to be produced, of course. Every club now has their own TV channels. We have like, what does Liverpool have? AFTV, I think, right? The Redman TV is also one that I found. So there's an entire economy built on big teams losing because it's fun. It's fun to analyze. It's fun to watch. And there's an incentive structure behind it. So, as I said earlier, right? Bad news, good news, paying the money. Angry rants get more views than a rational analysis. If you would be like, so why is Wirtz not performing the way he performed last year in Germany or in the national team in Germany? Why is he not doing this in Liverpool? Oh, maybe he plays a different position. Maybe he's getting less balls, less chances. Maybe the forwards are not really converting what he's giving them. No, it's easier to say like, he sucks, right? So angry gets more than rational analysis. I mean, that's kind of why we also like some of those angry pundits, right? And content creators, they're financially incentivized to amplify the toxicity, because the more toxic, the more clicks, the more money. So I hate this. The media, for those only listening, I just did the air quotes, I hate those. The media is no longer just the papers. It's the guy with a cam screaming at the manager. I show speed on steroids and everybody can be it, right? So, last thing on this, one thing you also have to consider, history. History is a burden, right? So, I mean, Liverpool is like, until Jurgen Klopp brought them success again, they lived mainly in the past. And they still do, because, they've been one of the biggest clubs and so on. And then now they won the Premier League twice, I guess, since now Klopp and then the first year of Slot. But they all live in the past, like those European Cups and the big important history. And so you're constantly haunted by ghosts. It's so hard to live up to it. And there's a concept we talked about in a previous episode called hauntology by Mark Fisher. And so the current players, they're competing against the ghost of the past. And they can never win. And it's easy to say, no, it's not a real thing. Like, don't make up stuff. Yeah. It's maybe not the number 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth most important thing, but they will always be compared to the past. And they know it. Well, so that's, again, not the most important part here, but part of the concept of such a big club as well. So overall, I think there's way more to it than just, they play shitty right now, or the manager sucks and things like this. And I think while they go through that valley of I try not to swear, through that valley of not having success and sucking, I think the communication could be handled so much better. The communication, media, content creation could be handled so much better to actually keep the fans on board, to support the own team, and to help them in such a time of need right now. But what Liverpool is doing on all ends is clearly not working. And that's pretty sad to see, even for someone who's not a huge fan. But let me know what you think. Am I exaggerating? Am I making stuff up? Do you think, nah, that's just temporary, that's just 4 or 5 months of sucking, they're going to get better after Christmas, they're going to turn around? Let me know what you think. Shout out in the comments as always. That's very much appreciated. Like, share, subscribe to this podcast so I can bring you more of those breakdowns of current happenings through a media professor's point of view. Until then, stay safe, take care. We talk soon. Sawadee Krap.